Hi, I'm Teresa from Phoenix Gate Crafts, and I have a happy announcement to make. In about 3 weeks and a bit, I am starting my texture sampler knit along and crochet along. Now, these are technically two different stitch alongs because the knit one and the crochet one do not look identically alike. The knit one is not a knit version of the crochet one or vice versa. They are different. In fact, here is a picture of the finished crochet one, and here is a picture of the finished knit version. And as you can see, the crochet one goes in a round and the knit one goes in stripes. Each section is a different texture using a different technique. I found them both to be fairly easy. They are a single stitch pattern per section, regardless of which version you're making. But I figured if anybody wanted to make both, they don't necessarily have to wind up with the same item. And in fact, even though I made both of these as shrugs, if you don't want to have a shrug and you want to have a blanket instead, simply don't do the stitching up part at the end. The whole rest is exactly the same. Also, I wanted it so that it would be very easy to adjust the size. So the crochet along is very easy to adjust. If you want to adjust up, all you have to do is do more rounds. In each stitch pattern, I will actually have an explanation of how to increase the number of rounds you do so that you can make it bigger. For the knit along, it is simply a matter of having more stitch repeats if you want it wider and more row repeats if you want it longer. Now, sizing down is actually just as easy as sizing up. And actually you have an extra option. So yes, you could do fewer repeats, which works a little bit better on the crochet version versus the knit version. But you could also size down your yarn a little bit if you really do want a smaller piece. Now I am a size extra large 2X depending on the style of the clothing, but I find that this kind of thing actually works very well that large, and then you can just sew up the armholes a little bit more. But if you're making this for a smaller person, just sizing down the yarn to a 3-weight or a sport weight also works. So what will you actually need for this project? Let's go through the crochet first. Voiceover Teresa here. What you'll need is about 900 grams of yarn. That will be 100 grams for the first section, 150 grams each for sections 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 200 or more grams for section 6. I only got 100 grams for each section, which was not enough for the size I wanted to make. I recommend getting 6 different colors. That's exactly what I did. And as you can see, I got Mighty Stitch. This is not a sponsored video. I just really liked this one, and it was on sale at the time I got it. So, as you can see, I got a gradient. Because the crochet along will be made from the center out, I planned the one that I liked the most to be on the outside next to my skin, and the one that I liked the least to go on the inside. I do like all these, especially together, but I'm more of a blue person than a pink or red person. And I did a gradient. If you want, because this is a texture piece, you can totally get all one color. If you want, you can get 2 balls of 3 colors. If you want, you can get just 2 colors and alternate. It really does work out to however you want it. There's a lot of freedom. Now, in addition to the 600 ish grams of yarn, I want you to get a crochet hook. Now here's the thing, I want you to use the crochet hook that works the best with the yarn you choose. So this is going to be a bit different for everyone. There is no officially established gauge for the crochet along, simply because gauge doesn't matter. You make it to the size you want by doing more or fewer rounds of the last color to the size you need. So I am using a size 5.5 millimeter hook, which is an I believe. If you want, you can use stitch markers. I didn't find them necessary for the patterns used. It is very much visual. Now, for the knit. For the knit, my finished sample piece was exactly 400 grams. But again, if you're adjusting size, you're going to need more or less, depending on that. The knit piece needs 7 colors total. One is your main color that is going to run throughout the entire piece, which I am using this Impeccable in the color teal, which isn't showing up as teal right now. And this one you would probably need about 100 grams. You need about 50 to 60 grams for the other 6 colors. The thing with this one, because it's stripes, I do recommend usually having a neutral as the main color, and then you can have any colors you want as the 6 contrast colors. However, I am doing this scrappy style. These are literally all leftovers from other projects. So my main color is the main color that I have the most of, and then the rest are all partial skeins and 2 full skeins that just happen to be full. You can again do this in a rainbow order. You can do this in an ombre. You can do all the same color even if you want. The main color is just there for the section break, so you can definitely see where the section ends and starts for the next one. But you can do any color scheme that you like. This is just the one that I am going to do, though I will be honest, I will probably switch up these colors somehow, some way. I'm not set on the color scheme yet for this one, and it is okay. This one's probably going to be a little bit more grab bag than the other one. I also might switch this one, may very well be my main color, because it's a good neutral blue. Also, just like the crochet, I'm going to let you choose your needle size. This one, the gauge is there. There is a gauge for the knit along because it is done in stripes. So you can't really adjust the end as easily, especially if you're not casting on enough or too many stitches for your initial width. I do have a stitch gauge, but not a row gauge, because typically with rows you stitch to the end of the pattern anyway. And if you get a stitch gauge, that's much more important. So for the stitch gauge, you do want to have, if you're using worsted weight yarn, you want 15 stitches per 4 inches. I will write that right here, and it will be in the description. Now, here's the thing. That is a suggestion, and if you are changing to a thicker yarn or a thinner yarn, trying to adjust the size, it's okay if you don't get that. The most important thing is getting the gauge that you like. There will be instructions on adjusting to more stitches or fewer stitches for your cast on and for the row repeats that you can choose to adjust your size accordingly. And just to be clear, I am using size 5.5 needles because my 5mm needles were in use and I wound up liking the gauge I got. Timing. When does this shindig start? Well, you've got 3 weeks and a bit to get your materials. I'm going to drop the first video on Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. And this will last for a total of 6 weeks. 1 section per week. Amazing how that works. I will release the video for the crochet along at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I will release the crochet along at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm doing it this way because I want to make sure that people get notifications for both videos, and I think that if they come out at the same time, people will only get notified for one video and not the other. So I figure if I give a little space, hopefully everyone who signs up for notifications will be notified. Now, where will I be releasing? So, I am going to release on YouTube the actual video where you see how to do it. And if you're somebody who does a pattern entirely visually, you're good. I will also be releasing on my blog at approximately the same time. My blog is phoenixgatecrafts.com. You can sign up for notifications there as well. And that will be the written version of each pattern. There will be a separate one for crochet and a separate one for knit. But if you want the full pattern without having to wait for every week, I already have the full pattern that has both the crochet along and the knit along instructions written out. And you can go to etsy.com/shop/phoenixgatecrafts. And don't worry, I will have the link for all of these in the descriptions as well. And one last thing, I don't know if you know, but I have a Facebook group. It is old. I have barely used it in the last several years, but if you would like, you can join my Facebook group, which is just Phoenix Gate Crafts group on Facebook. And you can join there to show your progress, ask questions. I am there. I am the moderator and admin, so I will be frequently on there looking to see what's going on, what people are posting. I will also post links to the blog and the YouTube videos when they go live. And ultimately, it's just a nice place to have a bunch of people who are doing the same thing, being able to talk about it and having a bit of community. Also a great place to ask other questions if you want me to make a video or just need a quick answer on something. So I hope you join me for this stitch along, and happy crafting. Bye.